Everyone I've talked to about you describes you as a tastemaker.
Work really hard and play really hard. Where did everyone lose their backbone?
Saddle the up. What point do you realize that you can monetize off your eye?
Maybe I'll cheat on him first, by the way.
Don't with Pia. We're talking about on a white couch. I don't like to
My
on a white
couch
couch.
isn't white.
What color is it?
Well, I have 3 dogs, so it's like a gray navy. It's Jenny Kane.
It's not black. That's good.
No.
You don't want black. Michael had black sheets when he first started dating me.
Okay, first of all,
Horrific.
I was
Ew, crunchy black sheets.
I was
They
20.
were fake silk. No, those sheets were rancid. I was like, I'm not sleeping in this bed. Get rid of these sheets. What are you doing? Like,
I think I went down to
gross.
like Dillard's or whatever it was
Yeah.
in Arizona and got like fake silk sheets. I thought the girls, I was like, the girls are gonna love this.
no girl loved it. Not one girl loved
Boys'
it.
beds are so disgusting. They have like 2 flat, lame pillows.
They're like, I called his pillows when I first started dating him. They're like literally origami paper.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's horrific. They need a lot of work.
Davide had a good setup when we were dating. I felt comfortable there.
Yeah, well, he's
Yeah,
got
I
his
feel like
creative swagger.
he is like what a guy like me would look to like kind of like figure out how to do it as a guy. Like when I see your husband, I'm like, oh, like he's got the linen game down.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
He does.
we need
Yeah.
to go through the whole thing. Talk to us about what you were like as a child. What would your mom say?
It's pretty much like I am now, like a very loud and attention seeking. I was very like, I started talking at 6 months, which after having
Wow.
a kid, isn't it so weird to think about that? Like
Whoa.
a 6-month-old, like barely, like kids talk at 1.
But what do you mean like talking? Like what,
Hi, mama. Hi, dada.
wow.
And I would say when she would take me to the store, I would say to people walking by, hi, man, I love you. Hi, woman, I love you. And people would think it was so odd because I was so little. So I was always I really like people and talking to people. So I've always been that way.
And what were you like in high school?
The same. I was student activities director freshman year to my senior year. I did the morning news every morning, but was always like bad at, have you ever seen Rushmore?
No.
It's a really good Wes Anderson film. It's like one of his really early films.
Was it the first one?
No, he did like Bottle Rocket and things
Right.
before, but like it's a really funny movie and it's about this kid who goes to a private school and he has horrible grades. So they have to like kick him out of school, but he's the president of like every club and that was me.
You had horrible grades, but were the president.
Yeah, I was like just like social and I did student activity. You know, did student activities. I did the paper. I was in a bunch of clubs. I was like really social and really active, but I had just like, you know, I was like A here and there and like B's and C's.
At what point do you know that you have this creativity to you?
I was really little, but my dad was really interesting because he was a football player and a dentist and an artist. So he had like,
That's a weird combo.
I know, it's so odd. And so the creativity aspect was always really encouraged. But there's a huge age gap between my siblings and I. My dad was married first and had 3 kids, or married before he married my mom and had 3 kids. And he was much more stern with them in terms of them having to play sports and get good grades and all of that. And he was much older when I was born. And so I was talking about this last night with my husband, actually. So there was much more, the openness for me to be extremely exploratory and not like grade driven. I wish they were more grade driven with me, actually, because I didn't really like develop any. I still am pissed about it. I don't have like there are times where I have to do something for work and I'm like, oh, this feels like I'm in high school and it's fucking homework. And I just don't have like the skill set or like the patience to do homework.
Yeah, but I look at that and I'm like, they let you lean into what you're good at.
Totally. He
So-
was like, whatever you want to do, I love you. My brothers were like, what?
It makes sense though. Like by let's be honest, the firstborn like does get the full attention of the parent. Like,
Well,
sorry.
no, I think about like it's not just that, but it's like the age. My sister is almost 10 years younger than me, my youngest sister.
Yeah.
Hi, Tara. And I feel like, and I always say to her, like the way we were parented, same house and all that, but
You're raised different.
it's just different because, yeah, I mean, there's like a 10-year gap, 10 tired years of putting
It's
up with my
tired
shit.
years, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like done.
What's the first moment that you remember getting your hands on something fashion?
Oh, I was young. My mom's very beautiful and very elegant, but she never shops. She's a TJ Maxx girl. She does her own nails. She does her own hair. She doesn't spend a penny on herself ever. And I would be like, we need to go shopping. Like, you need to buy, like, there used to be this store called Ghost on Robertson. And I was like, you need like Ghost in your closet. And she'd be like, how do you fucking know about that? Like, so I had a job in 8th grade folding clothes at a store. As soon as I could work, I wanted to work.
Everyone I've talked to about you describes you as a tastemaker. Was that something that you were when you were younger?
I had a group of girlfriends that was definitely very like fashion forward. Like, as soon as we got our licenses, you know, I grew up in Pasadena and I'm still there. So it's 45 minutes away from here. So when we turned 16 and we could drive over here, it was just constant. This was like LA, like West Hollywood, Melrose, Robertson. It was peak. This is early 2000s, which is what everyone's dressing like right now, which is fucking hilarious. So it was like Lindsay Lohan, like Paris Hilton's everywhere. Everyone's famous. Every boutique was packed with the coolest clothes, young brands, cool designers, like Madison on Robertson. You'd walk in and it would just be like, you would like knew the salespeople, like Ron Herman, Fred Siegel. It was just this explosion. And so we'd go thrift shopping. We were just over on Melrose all the fucking time.
Remember when there was Lisa Klein?
Yes.
And remember across was Kitson.
Mm-hmm.
I remember coming to LA and it had like this magical essence.
Diabolina was there. I mean, there was, Madison was right next door to Kitson. It was crazy. It was so, you would dress up and like shop and then go to like a lunch and like, it was just so cool. It was so cool.
What was it like growing up in LA?
I grew up in, Pasadena is very different from LA.
Why?
I love Pasadena.
Why?
I will say that too.
It's a lot of, like, over on this side, I hate fucking generalizing.
Just, you can generalize.
Girls over here on the west side, I think, had more freedom. You know, there were girls that were in like rehab in high school. That really wasn't like a thing. For it was just slower. There's a lot of old money in Pasadena. So, you know, being super flaunty, it feels like
it's like something that was
cool.
like frozen in time in some ways.
Yeah, totally.
But I love that. That's
Yeah.
why I like it over there.
And my parents were, you know, I was like solid middle class. You know, like my dad was a dentist. He only ever had like used cars. He never had a nice watch or anything, but we all went to private school. And I was just like, loved stuff. I was just like, I need that. But not even I need like designer things, but I was like, I love vintage. And I just would like put things together. I mean, also Sex and the City was out, you know, that was like my Bible.
So it sounds like you always had an eye. What point do you realize that you can monetize off your eye?
It kind of happened by accident when I got into Parsons, like applying to school was,
That's
you know,
the
I
hardest
think
fashion school to get into.
it was a very weird time because this is when it just got really hard to get in. This is like the beginning of it getting really hard to get into college. Like USC for my brother was like, everyone got into USC, you know? And then by the time I was a senior in high school, it was like, they wanted to become like an Ivy League school. So I always thought, I'd go to SC like my brothers, and my dad did, and it would be no big deal. And then they were like, yeah, no, like you need to go to like a UC school first and transfer in because your grades aren't good. And so I was like, I got to lean into like being arty, like, you know, going a creative route. And I don't think that, I mean, I remember my college counselor being like, this is going to be tough, like, because you have a lot of great activities, but like your grades aren't very good. And, you know, people really want good grades. And so I got into the new school, Eugene Lang. I was doing like media and communications first and then transferred into Parsons for marketing. And when I got to New York, I was like, okay, like this is my place, you know. I wish I still lived there. I miss it every day.
What's
New
the
York?
first?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What's the first thing you monetize off of? Like, how do you know?
I had a blog.
You had a blog.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called?
Fighting the War Against Blowing It.
Really? Is that really the name?
Yeah, because I was like, when you move to New York, it's every day. It's like, how can you blow it? Like, because you're walking to class, but then you run into someone and they're like, there's this party happening or this, or you're hungover, or like, there's just so many distractions. And so I felt like every day was this battle to not like fuck up school or like, you know, fuck the wrong person or get too drunk or like whatever, because it was just like adult Disneyland all of a sudden. You know, I was 18 from an all-girls Catholic high school. And then I'm like in New York on my own. It was crazy.
So what's the first piece that you make?
Clothes. I didn't get into designing clothes until I was at Reformation. I did PR, I did production, I did photo shoots. I did like, I mean, my favorite job was being a waitress, but I did all the things. I did tons of marketing. I worked at People's Revolution. Like I was on the back end of everything. I started designing when I was at Reformation because I knew the customer so well, and I was the customer so intensely that they were like, you should probably start designing, like sit in on some design meetings. And then I became the designer there.
Before we get into Reformation, you have to tell me how it was working with Kelly. How do you say her last name?
Kelly Cutrone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like everything you...
I've read all her books.
Yeah.
Is it everything that I think it is?
Yeah.
Was it amazing?
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, we would like smoke in the office when everyone would leave. It was so much caffeine. It was like staying up, pulling all-nighters. I lived upstairs in the back of the showroom.
But people like maybe they demonize some of those experiences now, but I think they're, to your point, like
I have a very hard time with those experiences being extremely demonized now. But here's also the thing.
Meaning you don't like when it's demonized, or you?
I don't like when it's demonized because I'm like, where did everyone lose their fucking backbone? But I also understand, I'm saying that as somebody who has a very strong personality and is not sensitive and loves to be pushed.
You have to caveat everything now. I hate it. It's
By the way, I'm not going to caveat it. I am just like you. I think like you do when you're going into the real world and you're working for someone like her, like saddle the fuck up, pull your bootstraps on, or don't work there.
When I hear people talking about like balance and they're like just getting out of college and they're like got all this, and I'm like, listen, you're only gonna have less energy as this goes on. Right?
No,
like,
I can't believe what I accomplished with no sleep because I would work all day and then we'd be like, you know, the Soho Grand was across the street and we did their PR. So we got like free drinks at the Soho Grand. And so it's just like, you know, you're like, your cortisol, you're just like running on adrenaline and then you're getting like fucked up. And then there's like, oh, this party's happening. And then you're like home at 5. But then it's like, oh, I got to be in the office at 9. And then you just like
half the fun, in my opinion.
It was fucking incredible.
You're just like, oh my God, I was on a fucking bender. I'm throwing up on the way to the office.
Being still drunk the next morning at work was so fun. At some point, you just get like really giggly before the like same day hangover hits it.
I don't like how people are so responsible these days. I like you know what I mean? Like, fuck
you
that.
are literally the most responsible.
Now I am.
I had 3 drinks last night, and he was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you've gotten very responsible.
Listen,
You're so responsible.
I am now, but I'm almost 40. But back then I was not. I was like,
well, because the recovery time is like.
I just think that more young people should embrace that chaotic time.
You have to. Well, everyone's so scared and calculate. I mean, everyone's just worrying themselves.
You have the rest. I mean, listen, we all have kids now. You have the rest of the time to be like a well-adjusted adult. Like, I love that. For the first like 10 years of my career, it was just a fucking
silk fake
shit show.
Cum filled fucking.
We would just shake those things dry.
Oof. Okay. If you had to say 3 things that you learned from Kelly, what are they?
To not be sensitive.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Which is like, to you know, I think we've all lost this ability to like quickly pivot and problem solve very quickly. So I learned how to problem solve very intensely. What else? To to get like more fuck it in your system, to have like, to like work really hard and play really hard. Because that was so fun. It was so great. Yeah, it was like after her book came out, like The Hills had just finished filming there. So I was like right after that wave. So there were people like outside of the office, like, and she'd be like walking around like, I'm New York Times bestselling author Kelly. You know, I mean, it was like, she was like such a staple in the neighborhood.
You know what I liked about her?
I worked for Rob in Berkeley, who I'm still very close with, who's an incredible publicist. Now she owns that brand, Live the Process. And Kelly didn't want her to, she was like, I got to get out of here. And her amazing assistant, Grace, had just quit. Grace now runs a huge production company, PR company, who's incredible. And Grace was like beautiful and so experienced and very professional and like the perfect PR girl. And I had never done PR before. And Kelly hired me because she's like, I like your energy. Because I had interned at the Roosevelt Hotel. There was like I think it was like, maybe like the Teen Choice Awards. There was like some event and People's Revolution was doing the carpet. And I was like, I want to intern. And I happened to be in LA, even though, you know, whatever, they were based in New York. And I said, I'll work the event. And Kelly said, have you ever run a carpet before? And I said, no. And she's like, I think you can figure it out. I was like, I think I can too. And so I organized the carpet and would tell the celebrities when to walk and announce them to people. And I ran that whole fucking thing, never having doing it so smoothly. And at the end of the night, she was like, you're fucking hired. And I was like, great. And then she was like, are you a Scorpio? And I was like, yeah. She's like, me too. She's like, you're definitely hired. And then I get to the office and Robin is like, Kelly's like, this is your new assistant. And Robin's like, I'm sorry, this girl has no fucking experience. Like she's like, I'm a high level publicist and you're giving me someone who's never done PR. She's like, do you know any of the editors? And I was like, no. And she was like, oh my fucking God. And she trained the fuck out of me. She would scream at me across. I would make huge mistakes and she would scream at me across the office.
But sometimes you have to get thrown in the deep end.
It was amazing. Yeah.
It's so good for you.
This episode is brought to you by Nurex. One thing that I love is treatments and care that are personalized to me or personalized to you. I just love personalization. So let me tell you about Nurex. Nurex is a digital healthcare platform that makes it easy to get expert healthcare that you deserve at every step of your journey. So obviously, we all go through life's changes and transitions, and Nurex is here to help you make informed choices about your health with care offerings like birth control, even anti-aging prescription skincare, and treatments for common mental health concerns. So everything is basically tailored to your unique health history and goals. And what I like about Nurex is it's convenient, private, and compassionate. So anything that you talk to them about when it comes to your sexual health care has no judgment or stigma attached. This would have been amazing for me if I was in my early 20s. I wish I had this option. Now with Nurex, you do have options. Nurex offers more than 50 birth control formulas. They have options for the pill, the patch, or even a ring. And they're really going to work with you to find the best options for your needs. So if you want to skip the in-person appointments, I know I'm someone who loves to skip, then you will love Nurex. It's accessible and private. Get your birth control delivered straight to your door in discreet packaging. A big thanks to Nurex for sponsoring this podcast. Taking control of your reproductive health starts here. Go to Nurex.com/skinny to get started. That's Nurx.com/skinny. Results may vary. Not offered in every state. Medications prescribed only if clinically appropriate. Consultation required. Ooh, this is a good one. Have you heard that the flavored air category, that's right, flavored air, is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? You guys, this is truly a whole new movement towards better habits. And it is led by the sponsor of today's podcast, Fume. So Fume, it's an award-winning flavored air device. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to a sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. So Fume has a lot of delicious flavors to choose from. They have a crisp mint and an orange vanilla. And with flavored air, you can satisfy any oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Basically, it draws flavor to your mouth and it fills the void by ditching a bad habit. So you should know that Fume is not a vape. It's no nicotine. It's not addictive. It's non-toxic flavors. It's guilt-free. There's no batteries. You never have to charge it. They really hit all the pain points. It also looks awesome. It feels like weighted, high-quality design. You should know for safety too, Fume continually invest in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products. They're also backed by doctors in the United States. Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be the next success story. For a limited time, use our code SKINNY to get a free gift with your journey pack. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com, or use code SKINNY to get a free gift with your order today. Tryfume.com/skinny.
Quick break to talk about one of our favorite longtime partners, and that is Element. For those of you that are looking to have more energy, more focus, not have that mid-afternoon slump, want to perform better in the gym, just want to feel better all around, Element is the product for you. And that is because you are going to get much more hydrated than you would with just water alone. For those of you that are not familiar with Element, Element is a zero-sugar electrolyte drink mix from the growing body of research that reveals that an optimal health outcome occurs at a sodium level of 2 to 3 times government recommendations. Lauren and I have been taking Element for years now. Every time we go to the gym, every time we work out, when we travel, anytime we feel like we're going to be a little bit dehydrated. Here's the thing. You're going to sleep better. You're going to feel better. You're going to think better, and you're going to have more focus if you hydrate properly. Many think that proper hydration is just about drinking water, but being optimally hydrated is about optimizing your body's fluid ratios. This fluid balance depends on many factors, including the intake and excretion of electrolytes. So what are electrolytes? Electrolytes are charged minerals that conduct electricity to power your nervous system. They also regulate hydration status by balancing fluid inside and outside your cells. An Element was formulated with the perfect electrolyte ratio of 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. So give it a try. Of course, we have an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Get your free Element sample pack with any purchase at drinkelement.com/skinny. Also try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. Try it totally risk-free. If you don't like it, they'll refund your order. No questions asked. Again, that's drinkelement.com/skinny.
Kelly has grit.
Yeah, big time.
She's the real deal.
I need to get her on the podcast.
Yes, you do.
I know we've talked about it.
Wow.
No.
I feel like she needs her own podcast.
I'm funny about, I don't like ask people things.
You mean the celebrities that you're friends with, you don't
never.
ask them to
You don't tap your personal relationships.
No, never.
They would come on your podcast though.
I know. I was like, just went on a trip with like Shay Mitchell, who's like a great friend. And like I love her so deeply, and her family and our husbands are friends. And I never, we go on our LPA trips, and I was like, would you want to, she's like, I'll go on the podcast. And I was like, really? Like, I don't want to bother you.
If I were to put my Dear Media hat on right now, I'd be giving you a lot of shit. Like, get these fucking people on your podcast.
I know. I shouldn't be saying this. I know.
Just go through who's ordered your stuff.
Yeah, I know. I need to. I know. I just feel bad asking people. I'm really not good at, my husband's horrible at this. We never like tap into our network that much.
No, but I get that. We are careful as well to not take advantage.
You don't want to be a hungry tiger.
No.
But like, I think there's a way to approach, there's a way to do it without taking advantage.
It's like your best friend that you're on vacation with.
I would feel so weird putting someone in that position if they were like, oh, I don't want to be, you know what I mean? I don't know.
I get it. Okay. So when you're at Reformation, you're designing there.
Mm-hmm.
Were your designs super popular at Reformation?
Yeah, oh my God.
So I guess what I want to ask is, was Reformation valuing you and your designs, or so they valued
She hired me when I was at People's Revolution to do in-house PR for Reformation.
Okay.
And there was like 8 employees in New York.
Damn.
It was super small.
How many now, so we can get context? Like hundreds.
Well, thousands if you're including like the people who make the clothes. Yeah. Wow. I mean, hundreds. I mean, it's a huge... Reformation's what they've done, what she's done, but the company is incredible. And so, I mean, I started their Instagram and the hashtag #RefBabe and like all of that. And I worked in the store so I could get photos of I could like get to know the customer more. I was the brand manager at one time. That was my title, was like brand manager. I threw the events. Like, I remember the first sale. I remember posting something on the Instagram. And then somebody bought something, and there was a girl named Kim and a girl named Anissa who I love and I still talk to. I don't talk to, but we definitely talk on Instagram a lot. And Kim was like, okay, we have an order. And we were like, okay. And we like watched her like take the dress off the shelf and like pack it up. And we were like, okay, we're going to like ship the order. Like, this is crazy. We had a fake email call. It was like Alex at the Reformation, because we wanted it to seem really personal, the customer service experience to feel really personal. So they were like, oh, well, the whole thing was just really incredible. And then I left for a minute, and then they asked me to come back. And my role when I came back was just to be a designer. And at that point, it was like a more well-established.
Why'd you leave the first time around?
You know what? I was so young that I didn't advocate for myself financially enough. And I just kept hearing like one of my professors in my head saying like, you're never gonna, if you start at a certain salary, you're never gonna grow like 15%, like, and I was like, I started at such a low salary because I was so young and I didn't deserve a higher salary. So it was fair. But I was like, if I don't leave here, I'm never going to make the money that I want to make. And so it ended up being this amazing thing where I left and then they missed me. And then I was able to like negotiate good terms when I went back.
And I think this is important to say just for Michael, if you don't have context, Reformation at the time is
insane.
Like, it's amazing now too. I'm just saying at the time,
there wasn't like, a million brands. It was like the brand.
Michael, it was like every cool girl was wearing it.
I just want to know for context as you're talking.
I'm so bad about this. Oh my God. I mean, this was probably like 15 years ago.
Okay. It was like this is like
12 years ago.
How would what would you compare it to like now? I guess it's hard.
I don't know, because there's so many brands now and they're all really specific and have their own custom. It was like you wore Reformation.
Yeah.
Especially in New York. Like we would walk down and the clothes were so sexy. And it would be like so hot in the summer. And we all had these like, you would just see these girls like cascading down the street in these like billowing dresses with their backs open and cleavage out and their like ref tote bags. And we'd be like, look what we did. Like, this is fucking incredible. Like, you felt responsible for making girls feel like hot and confident. It was really cool.
It's amazing. When did you decide to branch off on your own and what did that look like?
It was I had a boyfriend. So I have now moved to LA and I had a boyfriend that I knew in my gut I wasn't going to end up with.
Why?
We just like fought a lot. It just wasn't like this deep, I can't live without you love. He liked me and I felt chosen and I was like, ooh, cool. Like, and then we moved in together and the house was great and we had dogs and it felt like impossible to leave that. Just like, and I was like 26. And so I'm like, this is the time where I should find somebody I should marry. And I liked his family a lot. And
what happened to him? Who knows?
Nothing. He's doing exactly the same shit he was doing when we broke up. Nothing has progressed, actually. Which is,
that's what happens when you break up with Pia.
No, I really don't want to speak poorly about somebody else.
Kind of just did, but
I know. Let's remove that. And so I had gotten an email from Zara that said, "We see your work at Reformation. We're hiring. We'd love to meet you." And I remember telling him, and I remember him saying, "Oh my God, this is amazing. We could move to Spain." And I thought to myself, I can't move to Spain with you. Like, it was like it was this aha moment that it wasn't like, yeah, you're my person forever. Like, we can take on the world together.
What the hell was he going to do? He's just like, go with you to Spain while I figure.
I was just like, I'm not even, I didn't take the interview because I was like, if I got the job, I would either, I was like, I'm not ready to like deal with that. And then we broke up. And when we broke up, I reached out to them and I said, I would love to interview. So I go to Spain and then I was like, okay, I'm in Europe. I want to go to Italy. I'd never been to Italy. I was, 26 or something probably. Yeah. And I could never have afforded to go, So I was like, I had called one of my girlfriends and I was like, do you want to meet me in Italy and go on a girls trip? She had gone to an influencer event for Revolve in the Hamptons. And so they booked her flight instead of booking her back to LA to meet me. And so they said she was at the event and Risa, who is the CMO of Revolve, was there. And she said, oh, I saw that we booked your flight to Italy. Like, what are you doing? And she was like, oh, I'm going to meet my friend Pia. She interviewed at Zara in Spain. And so we're going to go have like a little girls trip. And Risa was like, wait, she's interviewing? Like, I never would have assumed she would leave Reformation. Like, we want to work with her. So when I landed in Naples and we went to Amalfi, which by the way is like so funny because Amalfi, when you don't have a lot of money, is so hard to navigate.
A lot of hiking.
And so much hiking.
Yeah. Okay.
And everything is American prices times 100.
And it's hot and sweaty.
And so thank God we met a bunch of boys who kept like buying our meals because I was like, I would have run out of money after like 24 hours.
See, I just want to tell you girls something so you both understand the struggle on this side. There is no version where me and Taylor hike over to Amalfi and a bunch of girls are like, hey boys, let me just pay for your trip through Italy.
No, I used to love getting a little pay from a guy.
I've never had a boyfriend. No one's ever bought me a flight. No one's ever bought me a bag. But I was like, I'll take these free meals.
Fuck
like,
yeah.
Whatever. So she was like, as soon as we landed, we like sat down and had pizza. And she was like, do you want me to connect you? And I was like, holy shit, that's kind of incredible. Like, yeah, please. And so I got back and I met with her and Risa was like, we have our own in-house brands now. And they're doing really, really well. And we'd love for you to be the creative director of a brand at Revolve. And I was like, oh my God. And I had also gotten the job at Zara in the meantime. So I spent like a month and a half talking to like every psychic and getting advice from everybody possible to pick. Do I stay here and launch a brand or do I move to Spain?
To have Revolve come to you at that young of an age
it's crazy.
And say, we want you to have an in-house brand with us is fucking wild.
Also, at the time, they didn't have brands with big influencers. Now it's funny because I'm the only person who's like not famous that has a brand with them, where it's like the most famous people. And then it's like, I'm like, hey, like, here's my brand too, you know, which is like, it's hard because it's like, I can't push product the same way that like Elsa can push product or like Camilla or something. They have millions and millions of followers. So it was, at the time it was, I mean, I remember just, I was single. I just met Davide. We were like off and on. And
did you meet him here or in Italy?
He was living in New York at the time. Okay. He was working for Brunello Cucinelli.
You didn't meet him when you went over there?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
He was working at Brunello?
Yeah, we almost moved to Umbria and worked.
I didn't know that.
Oh, his whole life was Brunello. Yeah, we're still really close with the family. Mm-hmm.
Wait, so when you met him, did you like him right away?
He was such a Brunello dude. Like, I mean, he DM'd me on Instagram and then we talked for a month and then we met in person.
He DM'd you on Instagram. Mm-hmm. What does he say?
You look interesting.
Oh, that is the way you DM a girl.
His English was,
that gives me chills. That is hot. You look interesting because you know why that's so hot? Is he saying I look interesting because he thinks I'm hot? Mm-hmm. He thinks I'm smart. He thinks I'm interesting. You want to DM a girl, guys? That's what you do.
I think it was
you
also,
look interesting is the best thing I've ever heard.
He only learned English like 12 years ago. So this was a couple years into speaking. So I think it was also like a direct translation from something in Italian.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I feel like you need to get that tattooed on your ass.
And I didn't. Oh.
You look interesting.
That would be very fun for him.
You're actually like, I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah. Like, imagine it on the couch.
Yeah.
With your mom watching.
Oh, God.
Okay, so when he says you look interesting, what did you say back?
I ignored it for a while because I looked at his page and it was all these photos of him. Like, he wasn't posting very much by any means. So it was only a few photos, but it was him and like, you know what Brunello, it's like head to toe. He has like a vest and a thing and a jacket over his shoulder and a fucking hat and the thing. And it was all like photos of him at like Pitti Nuovo. And like,
what was he doing there? Was he designing?
A lot of stuff, but he basically did, he would go back often to work in the style office to help like put together collections. But then when he was in the US, he did every pop-up. He would oversee the buy for all the department stores. He would go do the buy with everybody. He was like all the high-end clients. He would help. I mean, he was kind of like a Pia. Like they were like, oh, we're going to dress Daniel Craig, like send Davide. Like, oh, this store in Toronto needs to know how to merchandise the clothes. Like send Davide. You know, he was like all over the place. I mean, he was on like 4 planes a week. And his accent was very thick. And I had dated like skateboarders and streetwear dudes. And I was just like, this is like out of my, and I always grew up being like, I'm Italian because I'm like American Italian. And I was like, that's like a real Italian person. Like that's like out of my wheelhouse. And then I was in Austin for my friend Aaron's birthday and I was drunk and I was smoking a cigarette. And
nice.
I was outside and he had followed up with the DM. He said, and complicated, I guess, because I hadn't answered.
Hot. Ugh. Ooh.
So I was like, what? I'm not complicated. You know, so then I wrote back and he was like, God. And then he was like,
gotcha.
Listen, I've had a long day at work. Like, if you want to talk, feel free to call me, and like sent his number. And I was like, what?
This guy is smooth.
Yeah.
Look, I told you, I can look from a distance sometimes and see certain people, certain men. And I'm like, I never even met him and I can tell.
That's so cute to write and complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so you should get you look interesting on your ass and then he should get ... and complicated on his. That's so cute.
No, it's so crazy that it went from that to us. Like, I mean, that his child is in my stomach right now.
Way to put it.
So when you're with someone that has such an eye like you, are you guys just like creative all day long?
Yeah.
Is that how it is?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
is that challenging? Because Lauren and I think about this all the time. Our brains, like, we're very value line symbiotic in a lot of ways, but we're kind of different sides.
Yeah.
But it feels like, in a lot of ways,
we're both like only creative. It's really crazy. Like I had a meeting with this guy who's doing the numbers for my Baroncini deck, and he wants to help Davide with stuff too. And he's like, so how many? He was like, yeah, give me the login to your Shopify and like give me a login to whatever like newsletter program you guys are using. And we're like, oh, we don't do newsletters. And he was like, well, how are you acquiring your customers and how are you like maintaining your customers? And we were like, we don't do that. He's like, you have no new customer and I was like, no, like, I was like, we don't put any, like, we're the worst. Like, we don't do any marketing. Like,
do you guys have a team around you that helps? Nothing. It's you two.
Yeah.
I like the honesty of that though, because I think
I'm raising money to build a team, and the first thing I'll do is hire a CEO, and I'll hire out a full, and I won't be the one, like, I know what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
And it's building strategy and hiring and knowing who I need to know and logistics, right? So that's the first thing I'll set up, is have somebody that knows to set up the infrastructure.
Don't you think you'll enjoy probably everything a lot more once you get all those headaches?
Yeah, I don't need to be a hero and pretend and Davide's a very like old school Italian, like slow growth kind of guy. Now, our arguments are never creative. Our arguments are me being like, let's fucking go, dude. Like, just because you don't know how to do something doesn't mean you need to be scared of it and against it. Like, we need a fucking newsletter. Like, you need to be following up with your customers. And he's like, they know where to find me. Like, and it's working. Like, people go to him and his clothes sell like fucking crazy.
I know. Now I'm like, I want to go shop
from
him.
And we're at the point where we can't promote his brand any more than we are, because we'll run out of inventory, and the inventory is expensive. He makes really high-end clothes. So we need to raise money for him to have.
But I think this is like so important to talk about, because I think sometimes people take their passions and they turn it into a job that feels restrictive and takes their creativity away and takes their inspiration. Like, if it's working, which it sounds like it is, and he's happy, and you're building something that's meaningful, and you talked about this on stage at DMIRL, like, I think sometimes people, they get so like go, and then they like take the spark and joy out of the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah. And I think for me, especially like seeing so many brands, especially like Italian inspired brands, launch, and I'm like, fuck, like I've had every SKU for Baroncini designed for like 4.5 years. I just haven't had the money to do it. And, the timing hasn't aligned right, and whatever, like, timing is fucking everything. So I completely know that like all the things that set us back this whole time is just because of divine timing. But I have had to be very diligent about not looking at what other people are doing and being like, they're fucking lapping us. Like, that was supposed to be something we were doing. But then I just see all these brands, and it's just what we've done to ourselves and each other. It's like, what's new? What's happening? What's the next event? And it's like these events that happen that everyone puts all this money. It's like, okay, people show up, they post their thing, and then it just like goes away.
Yep.
Everything just seems like so fast and quick, and like, we definitely just want to be heritage, but we want both of the brands to be like extremely heritage. So
I think that it's the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
Like, I think about this all the time. If you want to have longevity in this business, you have to be methodical and thoughtful with your moves. And yes, there is something to being swift, but I do think it's nice to take the Italian way and mesh it with the American way.
Davide doesn't have extreme financial goals. He's like, the fact that we can live in this house, I can have this store, that we have cars, that we have our children.
You travel?
He's like, I'm fine. He's like, I'm done here. You know what I mean? He's like, I've made it. He grew up without hot water. So he's like, this is it. Like, and I'm like, totally. But also, you don't manage the finances. And so we need like a little bit, if there's going to be like 2 kids, and like, but also he's like, then we move. Like, we don't need to be in LA.
But he's right
like,
though.
It's so beautifully grounding.
No. It's funny because I think about it now at this stage in my life in terms of like the games you enjoy playing. And I think people really fuck this up, where it's like the type of work that I do, I enjoy the challenge of seeing if I can build a bigger puzzle that I can then, like, it's not, financials are like kind of a byproduct sometimes of that. But to me, it's like the game is what I enjoy. Not the stuff. Yeah. If I didn't, like, you don't want to, I always tell people, like, I don't ever want to get to a point where I'm doing something and it's a headache and I don't like my partners, or I don't like the business, or I don't like what's going. At that point, I would honestly, people don't realize, I would just walk away.
Yeah. And I think
it has to be an enjoyable process.
We are lucky to be friends with so many people who are super entrepreneurial and have reached many levels of success. And the money in your bank account truly doesn't make you happier.
Really diminish. You have people, they don't like people who have.
It makes friendships weird. It makes people jealous. Like, I already feel a lot of negativity towards us with like just us loving each other the way that we like, it's just like.
It's hard for people who are working towards making more money to hear somebody who they perceive to have money talk about money actually having diminishing returns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all know many people with a lot of money that are the most miserable people on the planet, right? Like, and I think people say that's easy for you to say if you have money, but I think if like the money is the only thing, that's the byproduct of whatever you're putting out into the world. Like you're gonna slowly over time get less and less enjoyment from that.
He knows once he gets the right partner and stores open, like if he's in the store, like the money that people spend shopping with him is so, it's like they love him, they trust him, they're buying these beautiful garments. We know the names of all the people who make these clothes. Like it's such a special brand. And New York will be next. And we've like done the math. It's like if what he's doing in Pasadena translates to like New York, like it'll be like a $10 million brand a year, you know? And so, but what it'll do is take him away from us and he'll have to work, you know, 5 times as hard. And he's really happy in this little pocket right now. And he knows that it's a short-lived until like the next step. And he's aware that the next steps of his brand are going to flatten him out a lot. You know, it's going to stretch him really thin until he gets to the point. He always tells this amazing story where he's like, it's like a Italian, I don't know. He'll say it in Italian and then he'll translate it to me and it's really beautiful. But it's like a man is fishing at a lake or something and it's like on his property. And this guy comes and he's like, you know, like you have more fish in your lake than anybody else. Like if you do a big net and fish the fish, then you could sell it at the market and you could build a business and and it's like, and it'll be like, and then the next step will be this, and then the next step will be this, and then the next step will be this. And then the guy's sitting there fishing and goes, and what'll be the end? And then he's like, then you don't have to work anymore and you can relax all day. What would you do then? He goes, I would sit here and fish.
Yeah.
So he's like, I would be exactly back to where I am. So Davide's like, why do I need to like, but I do think there's also something when you are extremely creative and you have so much inside of you and you just have to show it to the world. That's a different thing. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, I have the collection in my head. I know what the New York store would look like. I know what the Aston
It's like my art is not being seen to the degree that I want it to be seen.
And that's where he's just like, I want my talent to have the respect and to be able to reach larger audiences.
It's like the untapped potential that you can't die without nicking it.
Yeah.
This is like so common. If you are looking for a good eye cream that does not cause milia around the eyes, I have the one. And I know because I've been using it for a long time. I've been using it since we had the founder on our podcast like a year ago. It is by OneSkin. It's the OS01 Eye Topical Supplement. So most eye creams for me do cause milia under the eyes, especially if there's any kind of sweat situation and it is hot in Austin. So I always need to be super purposeful with which eye cream I'm using. So what they've done is optimize our skin's biology so it's more resistant to the aging process. I personally like this eye cream because it is not overwhelming. It's not super thick. It's just right. I just take it with my ring finger and tap it underneath my eyes. I do like a little semicircle. I even put it on the tops of my eyes too. And everything you can go on their site, you can see results, which is awesome. They have like a real 12-week clinical study, and everyone says that they see improved skin barrier function. OneSkin is more than skincare. It's about skin longevity, targeting the root causes of aging to help you look and feel your best at every age. Get started today with 15% off using code SKINNY at oneskin.co. That's 15% off at oneskin.co with code SKINNY. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them we sent you. It's time to expect more from your skincare routine. Invest in your health of your skin with OneSkin. Have you ever heard of grass-fed beef protein powder? I had never heard about it, but I just started trying Equipped Food Prime Protein. This is so crazy. It's made with grass-fed beef and it tastes like dessert. So obviously beef, I mean, we've learned this from this podcast and a lot of other podcasts, is a supreme source of protein. So this is really incredible to have an actual protein powder with grass-fed beef in it. So I do 1 scoop. How I like to use it is 2 different ways. I'll put a scoop in a cup and then I'll do a scoop of fiber powder and I'll just froth it up and drink it down with water and ice. Or I'll make like protein pancakes or protein chocolate water. There's like a good recipe where you add cottage cheese and maybe some cacao and then a little bit of egg white. So delicious. And I do 1 scoop of Equipped Foods Prime Protein. Most importantly, though, it's third-party tested for heavy metals and pesticides. So many protein powders have heavy metals in them, so this is important. Everything is made with carefully sourced real food ingredients. That is what I look for in a protein, especially a protein that I give my kids. It has to be real food ingredients. Go to equipfoods.com/skinny to get 20% off or use code skinny at checkout. That's EQUIPFOODS.com/skinny. Go to equippedfoods.com/skinny.
Let's talk about one of our favorite products, one of our favorite brands, and that is Just Thrive. Lauren and I have been taking Just Thrive probiotics for almost 6 years now, and we feel phenomenal. We have covered on this show over and over again the importance of gut health and how the gut determines the overall health of the body. With everything that bombards our systems these days, it is so important to get a probiotic that you can trust, that you can rely on. This is why we love Just Thrive probiotics so much. We have had Tina, the founder of Just Thrive, on this show multiple times to discuss the many benefits of Just Thrive probiotics and all of the reasons that you need to take care of your gut health and put it at the forefront of your health routine. The way Lauren and I take it is every single time we have a meal, we just pop in a Just Thrive probiotic and just keeps us feeling great. For those that also suffer for a little bit of anxiety, stress, want to feel a little bit more calm and relaxed, they also have a Just Calm product, which is also phenomenal. We take both of them in combination, and this duo really packs a punch. First, the gut health product, which is the probiotic, is going to make your gut strong, going to make you healthier and feel overall better. And then the Just Calm product is also going to help you calm down, get through the stress of the day, and help you feel like you can take on the world. So say goodbye to frazzled nerves and hello to a steady, serene, more relaxed you. Just Calm's proprietary mood-lifting blend is clinically proven to help you relax and breathe a little easier in as little as 4 weeks. And with Just Calm and Just Thrive probiotic, you'll have the ultimate stress-fighting duo to help you win the day every day. Of course, we have a special offer for you right now. When you go to justthrivehealth.com and use promo code SKINNY, you can get 20% off a 90-day bottle of Just Thrive probiotic and Just Calm. That's like getting a month for free. Again, that's justthrivehealth.com and use promo code SKINNY.
I was on a trip with my girlfriends and I annoyingly could not get drunk, but they were. And one of them was like, oh yeah, like a girl from high school like asked me if you guys are really like this or if you put on like a show. You know, I've read enough.
So your life looks very romantic.
I don't anymore because it's so disgusting. And I've also realized these people are like actually my super fans and it's incredibly creepy. But like, and I'm like, why do I even have fucking, like, I just am like, I don't understand why people fucking care so much. But the made up narrative that we don't really love each other and there's no way that this is real is really intense. It's fucking crazy. Like there's shit that I'm like, why would I, like, they're like, he's not even really that Italian and there's no way. And like someone said something like really kind, you know, because I always bring up that Dominique like slept with a lot of girls before we met and I slept with a lot of dudes and I bring that up often, not to belittle anybody, but almost to be like, we've had so much experience before we met each other that we got so much out of our systems that like, there wasn't like one more concert or one more trip or one more dude I needed to, like, and same with him. Like we felt like we did it all. And some girl was like, the way you talk about it, like, aren't you concerned he's going to go cheat on you? And I'm like, why would you want that for me? Like, well, maybe I'll cheat on him first, by the way. Like, but also like, it's just, so I feel, I would talk about it with my mom all the time. I'm like, I don't want to post our lives so much online because it almost is like, I don't want to bring more people that are like, this is, you know, it almost like attracts this like negativity. But then I'm also like, why are we not celebrating that two people love each other?
I think that
like,
it's a hard one because it's like you want to protect your peace and your area that's so intimate from all these naysayers, but at the same time you want, like you said, you want to share it. I think what it is,
it's hard showing too much joy in this day and age because people really don't like to see people being joyful.
No, they don't.
No, I'm actually not kidding.
Though. No. I feel that and I experience it often through my phone. So
people are like, I want you to be happy. As
but
happy
not
as
so
I am,
happy,
but not happier than me.
Yeah,
it's like that.
I think you're wealthy in love, and I think that that brings up things for people that maybe they don't feel they're wealthy in love. What I've realized is there's two reasons haters comment: they're projecting, or they want to be acknowledged.
Yeah, totally.
And let me tell you, when you acknowledge them, they back down.
I know, it's so really crazy.
It's very interesting, and I'm telling you, it's always two camps. It's projection, so like, they're mad about something going on in their life or they just want your attention.
Yeah.
Well, early days, you know, and we've all kind of been swimming in these waters for a long, I mean, we're going to age all of ourselves, but it's been a while now, right?
Yeah.
In early days, I used to like think about this if I get rattled. But now I really like, I can understand if someone is maybe not where they want to be in life and they see someone who they perceive to be
annoying.
Yeah, that or like it's something that like it hits a nerve where they feel like they're not. I see stuff all the time.
It's so far from my comprehension because if someone bothers me online, I just do a quick mute and I keep it moving. I don't have the energy, the bandwidth to care. It would take so much to bother me. I'm so proud of that. It really takes so much to bother me. I don't fester on things. I don't give a fucking shit. So to see this intensity around something that I'm doing, because I don't have that for anybody else, it's really hard for me to understand.
Yeah, but I think it's because all of us you've seen so much, you've seen our friends go through.
I'm 40 too, you know, I've had like life experience.
Yeah, I'm at the point, I'm like, I just really like, I'm sorry you feel that way about something we did or said.
Also, by the way, if one day we get to the point where we divorce, that will be something that happens and we'll both be better off for it later. And then we'll re-up and have other people, you know what I mean? It's like life comes in chapters. Like who fucking knows? My husband is not somebody who believes in divorce. And I'm always like, we're fucked if we ever want to break up because we are very intertwined.
Yeah, you're locked in now.
You guys are codependent like me and Michael. Raina said in the elevator yesterday, she's like, you and Michael are so codependent. And I was like, God. We are, aren't we?
We talk every like 15 minutes. Like we're like, when he like started work, when he opened the store and we both weren't working from home anymore, it was like really hard on us that we were away from each other during the day.
I think what it is, Michael and I like this too. We like to be together.
God forbid you like your wife or husband.
I know. I really like being around him.
I don't think that's that hard to understand.
When we're on trips and there's like tons of people, like whenever it's just like the three of us, I cried so hard our last night on this last trip because we were in the back of a taxi and Carmela's next to us. And like, she's such a good girl. And I like we each had our arm around her in the middle of this like taxi in Spain. And I just was like, this is the last time it's going to be the three of us. Like
I remember that.
You know, and
it's
I was like,
dynamic.
We're such a pod. Like, you know, we even like, I don't know, we like recently went on a trip and it was really hard. We brought her and then we were like, no one else had kids. And we ended up like road tripping somewhere else because I was like, it was too hard to like navigate like a group of people who wanted to do things we couldn't do with her. But then we're at dinner that night and I was like, I love just being with you, you know, like it's just so nice. Like I said it on the trip, we had moments where there was a lot of people with us and we got in the car and he looked at me, he goes, it's nice when it's just the two of us and Carmela. I said, I know, it's always just good when it's, you know, because we're just like, we love each other.
Why do you think I moved to Austin? I understand everything you're saying. Sometimes like we're in a world that's so much stimulus all the time that the fact that I relate to you on this, that I can go home with my little family and just sort of disappear in Austin. I get it.
We're very similar to you guys. We're like, listen, there's this and we're on the podcast. There's all this going around. You guys live in this world. But at the end of the day, it's Lauren and I and the kids.
Yeah,
and that's
totally.
and like that, I think what people don't like, that's the life that we're building. And I'm not naive enough to think like we're going to be doing this for 50, 60 years. Like at the end of the day, like this is the
our
life.
Relationship will hit moments. I mean, I can imagine this is the beginning of our life, right? I always think about Blow, how at the beginning of Blow, like Johnny Depp's like, I made my money, I found my girl, I'm having my kid, like this is it. And then his life implodes. Like there's never going to be a moment where you're like, this is it.
Nope.
Like everything is going to keep moving. But like where we are, I mean, I wake up every morning and he kisses my feet and he tells me like, I woke up yesterday. I know, don't get mad at my sorry.
Wait.
You know what?
Hold
Actually,
on.
this
He
is too far
kisses
now.
my feet every morning. And then yesterday he said,
you know what?
I was half asleep and he looked at me and he said, I always cry. He said, I always wondered how my parents could be together for 50 years and not get sick of each other. And now I know how.
You know what? Okay.
You know
now
what,
we're
Michael?
going too far.
Okay.
Too far.
But that's his love language.
Let's have an intervention.
Is very over the top.
Start
romance.
crying over something I did
You
right now.
can say a couple things like that to me and I'd like my feet kissed.
Start crying like Pia about me and we'll talk about it.
Michael, you could take a hint.
No, this is not.
You
We're changing
have
the subject.
Italian in you.
So what happened? What
Bitch, tap into your Italian.
What happened when you got to Revolve again?
A lot happened when Davide and I got together. Like my dad, he gave up his job and he moved to LA. He gave up his dream job at Brunello. We were supposed to move to Umbria. I'm like, I'm not moving to a town of 400 people.
Where is Umbria?
The middle of Italy. It's where he makes his clothes.
Okay.
It's beautiful, but it's really
What's the nearest large city?
No, Michael, let her finish her romantic story. No, do not. Keep going, Pia.
I think it's like 3 hours to Milan.
Michael, don't.
I'm fully
stop.
fine. We need to get you off that romance stuff, but keep going.
He packed up a Suburban and drove cross country in like 3 days, and he was so my dad and him were so in love with each other on such a deep connected soul level. Like they were both like we knew each other in another lifetime. Like, and then my dad dropped dead at dinner 2 weeks later, and Davide like held my dead dad and looked at my mom and said, "I got you guys. Okay, like I'm not." And then we like moved into that house, and then we got married. Then we were supposed to get married that Friday at the courthouse.
Did your dad have a stroke? What happened?
He had a heart attack. But he was sick, which is why I moved back anyway. And then we were supposed to get married with my dad that Friday, just courthouse, because Davide had given up his job at Brunello, so his visa was gone, So we were like, we need to quickly get married. We'll do cute Beverly Hills and then go to lunch. So he died at Sunday dinner, and the next Sunday dinner we got married in the yard, and we made lasagna and had our family over, and it was weird, but ended up being like really beautiful because everything was so sad, and then it got so positive. And then when we started his green card process, then we found out that his mom had cancer. And we had to like go beg to get this like 2-week like emergency, because when your green card process, you can't leave for like a year. So we go to Italy. We spend 2 weeks in the hospital with her. That I could write a fucking book about, because they don't tell you when you're dying in Italy. And then someone accidentally told her, and she was like, "What? Like I thought I was just here temporary." It was fucking crazy. And then when he said goodbye to her, he knew he'd probably never fucking see her again, but he had to leave. And his mom was his whole life. Like when we were broken up once, we weren't talking. And I was like, I love him. I got to be with this guy. And I talked to my like psychic, and she was like, he's your person. I was like, do I just give up on this, or do I like? And it was so weird. He went from like, he was like ghosting me almost because he just needed a process. And then he sent me a video of him slow dancing with his mom. Like he had gone home and he was the way he was like touching her body. Like she was so little, and he was kissing her forehead and like touching her hips and like just like embracing her. And I was like, this man loves women so much, and he loves his mom so much. And I remember being at my girlfriend Erin's house, and I was like, I have to marry this man. And then she fucking passed away like a year after my dad died, and he couldn't even go to the funeral because he was here. So, I mean, he
They wouldn't give him a pass to even go do that?
No, because he used it to go visit her for the 2 weeks. So going through him giving up his job, he was so depressed. He went from working nonstop to waking up with no purpose. I was like, you're going to be able to work so much in LA. Like you'll get so much freelance. He legally couldn't work. So that's when he decided to start Kiaya. We like got money from friends. We did like a tiny friends and family round. That's how we started the brand. Like so much happened at the beginning that was so fucking intense for 2.5, 3 years of just like, and we're living with my mom. That was the most insane fucking not normal transition at the beginning of a like it was all, then I couldn't get pregnant. It was like, and now we're like, like things are good. You know what I mean?
It's nice to take a beat, probably.
Yeah. And the bonding and the heavy gratitude.
You went through a lot of life really quickly.
The gratitude we have every day is very apparent and abundant. And it's because of that experience.
It sounds like a lot of your relationship is based in gratitude for both of you.
We're every day. This is so
the troll that's commenting needs to practice more gratitude.
Well, I just pray for everyone, because I'm just like, I'm sorry that is your mindset, and that I just want, I mean, everyone deserves to be happy. And I don't think we realize like how intensely our vibration attracts good and bad. So if you're putting out so much negativity, I'm just like, you're going to fucking get this back. I always say this on the podcast. I'm like, if you're listening to this with bad intentions, please stop, because you're just going to make your life worse.
I also think what I've noticed is when people who are really hypercritical, that comes back to them. People are then hypercritical.
I always
of them.
say this. I'm like, if you criticize someone, then we're going to look at you and fucking criticize everything.
I noticed,
I see people do it on Instagram. Like smart adult people will like launch a brand and talk shit about another brand launching theirs. I'm like, now everyone's going to talk shit about your fucking situation.
It's really interesting. The more critical you are, I've noticed even I become critical of the. I'm probably like vibrating.
Well, then you start. No,
it's weird.
100%. That's why I don't ever give I don't give strong opinions about anything. I'm just like, everything's fine. Like, I'm not.
You're right. I mean, just like people, the reason my approach now is I just feel like, I don't want to say I pray for everybody. Like, sometimes I'm like, fuck you.
I do, and it feels really nice.
Yeah, I don't care about feeling nice. I'm like, fuck you. Right, fuck you, people. But like, my thing is like, if you're putting that out, it's just, I don't, like, I just think it's so useless.
I mean, it's everywhere. Like it's
anytime,
on every art. Like, even if you're scrolling through your phone and you look at CNN, like every person that just has a phone, and you click on these profiles, and it's like a 55-year-old mom in Iowa who's like, I love my kids, and she's like it's like, where did we fucking go?
It's like, but what I mean by like, I think
negativity.
The purpose in life is you should be useful to some degree, not to everybody. You got to be useful in life. It's just like, if you're not useful, then you're useless by definition. And so, but I think that effort of running around and being angry and criticizing other people that you don't even know, that don't even know you exist, that don't care, if you're like, it's useless.
I also think people don't consider their digital footprint, because
they don't think about it.
I'm like, I was like, I know who you are, and if I were to screenshot your Instagram, put this on my Instagram, highlight all the things that you've said about me the last 3 years that are about my daughter that are fucking atrocious, you would never work again.
What?
And your family would be ashamed.
I mean, like people that write these things. Like
there's things that people say about me. I don't care about what you say about me, because it doesn't affect me. Also, someone said this to me. It was so smart. Aurora James said this to me. She's like, these are your consumers. Like, these are your customers. Like, everyone, that's what people don't realize. Like, the more that you talk about other people, the more, like, that's why everyone's like, the fuck the Kardashians. I'm like, stop writing about them then. Stop. It'll go away. Like, you're giving it more shine. Yep. But sometimes I'm like, man, it would be interesting to just show this person's boyfriend or mother or employer or followers what their real behavior is.
It's just insane.
Don't fuck with Pia.
There was a
and don't come for, I don't know anything about, don't come for people's kids.
There was a journalist.
Can that just be like a law?
No, it should be. But, I put her on, I could not show her and no one would say,
No, there was a journalist that was asking me from a publication that's a more mainstream publication. They're like, do you feel like responsible to have to like say certain things and be a certain way? And I'm like, no, I just don't. And the reason I don't is like, I can't police every single thing all the time and make sure people feel good all the time about it. And also, like, are we so far past the point where people cannot change the channel or switch or turn it off or not listen or pay attention to something else? Like, take some personal accountability.
Really are very upset when they see somebody doing something that's different than how they would do it. I posted a video of Carmela sleeping on Davide. It was the cutest thing. She fell asleep on him on a pool raft. And she did have she had like a little, in Italy, the girls don't wear tops, and everywhere you go, the little beach towns, they sell these cute little like cotton little bottoms with little ruffles for little girls. And we buy them in bulk every time we're there. So she was in the pool wearing one of those, but she had no top on and she was laying on him and his hands were covering her little bikini bottom. So it looked like she was naked. But by the way, she'll lay on him naked too, because she's a fucking little girl and we're a family. And the people that were so up in arms over it, and this one woman was like, I have a daughter the same age and I could never imagine my daughter laying on my husband like that. And I was like,
well, then don't do it.
And I was like, I wanted to respond and I didn't, but I just thought to myself, why do you care about someone's choice being different than yours?
Because people want everyone's choice to be the same as
theirs.
But
then we've lost complete discourse. I mean,
and also, like, we can have different choices and still have civil conversations.
What's sad is that's the basis of our government, right? Is like, we're supposed to be having these political conversations where I remember like John McCain talking about this, where he would be like, I would go and scream my face off to, and advocate for things with people who have completely different ideas than I had, arguing on other sides of Senate or Congress or whatever. And he's like, and you know what we always did afterwards? We all went to fucking lunch together.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, fuck you should die. It was like, we're here to debate, to come up with the best middle ground. And we've just lost the ability. I mean, debate is such a healthy, incredible thing. Yeah. But you have to be willing to listen to the other person.
No.
We just lost that critical thinking.
Well, because
completely.
people want to put people in boxes, left, right, red, blue, this, that. You know what I mean?
I know when you leave the box.
No, and if you say one thing that's in one box, then they're like, well, that must mean you think this way or that. Like, there's no potential anymore to say like, well, there may be some nuance to some of this.
We've lost nuance completely. Yeah.
No, and it's like, I remember when we moved to Texas, like, they don't want to pay taxes. Fuck no, I don't want to pay more taxes. Like I don't.
Well, especially not in California, which is a complete fucking shithole.
Yeah, well, I was like, listen, if I was confident that the powers that be would take these and be very responsible and there'd be no corruption and the dollars would be used usefully and they'd have to run it like a company where, like, if I am not responsible in my company with my dollars, the company goes under and people lose jobs and there's accountability.
I know, it's like, it's all the democratic states almost everyone's like, wants to be like socialist, but the money isn't even being used in that way either. It's not helping people.
It's the only entity that is not beholden to financial literacy and it's the only entity that's not beholden to financial responsibility. You could just fuck everything up and it's like, well, no problem. So, like, anyways, if I say that, watch, there'll be some idiot on Reddit right now.
But what's really funny is if that person were to be able to establish their career in the way that you two have and see how much of their money, because when you get to a different tax bracket, it's a lot of fucking taxes you're paying. And like, if they were to get to that point, they would make the exact same decision that you made. They're just not putting themselves in anybody else's shoes.
It's not just that. It's just, but my point is, if I say, so everything I just said, there will be some bozo writing something, this guy is this way. No, just because I want to do that doesn't mean I don't believe in human rights and women's rights and all these things.
Completely. Right? But it's not like, being used that way.
Yes.
So it makes no sense. And I completely understand it. And anybody else in your position would likely make that same decision. They're not in your position. So the accusations are ridiculous.
How about just letting all kinds of people have different opinions?
I know.
Is that like, and
other
giving people
opinions
the
don't bother
space
me.
to change their mind?
Like, well, when I hear people yelling at each other, especially with like abortion and stuff, I'm like, how are you going to convince someone who truly thinks that they're, whatever, this is so political, we shouldn't even talk about it. But I'm like, of course a fucking Christian thinks that it's murder. Like, it's just like, but why would you not consider that? Like, let's have dialogue and explain the nuanced situations where it's really helpful. But you can't just say that someone's ridiculous. Like, if I'm a diehard Christian, of course that's what I'm going to fucking think.
The biggest thing that we try to do on this platform, and it's funny, if we have people that are clearly right or clearly left, we'll get shit from both sides for having those kind of people on. But
of course,
Lauren and I are not in the business of trying to change either of those people's minds. We're in the business of trying to understand why they think the way they do. And then
which is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, and then you can have empathy for someone. Like, I can understand if you have a certain background or grew up a certain way, your parents thought a certain way, why you think differently.
Of course.
Like, it's hard to imagine.
It's life experience that changes those.
Yeah, like a lot of people on the coast forget that there's a lot that goes on in the middle of the country. And some of these people grow up maybe in red states with very conservative values. And that's how their grandparents were and their great-grandparents and their parents. To all of a sudden ask their child to completely go away from the way that they were raised is not
impossible.
It's not empathetic either. No. It's like, you have to understand, like, this is some of the values that were instilled, whether you agree with them or not. Like, I have no interest in trying to think that my way of life should completely dissuade somebody else from their way of life. Right? Like, as long as it's not bothering or harming, like, do what you want.
That's exactly how I feel.
Whatever.
Love this conversation. It's left, it's right, it's up, it's down, it's all around. If you don't massage my feet and kiss my feet and my toes tonight, you are going to get an
And
F.
also, you people that don't drink raw milk, get it together. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, you should try raw milk.
I love raw milk. I can't wait to drink it again.
It's amazing. Where can everyone shop your line? Where can they find you? Tell us all the things.
LPA is sold on Revolve and Forward. And Baroncini, which is our olive oil brand, which will soon be homewares and a lot of various pantry items like ancient grain pasta and wine and olives. That's at baronciniimportandco.com. If you're in LA, you can buy Baroncini at Air One.
Rad.
I know, it's so crazy.
That's cool.
It's cool. What's so funny is, like, yeah, I mean, the company's we don't even have we have one distributor. Like, I can't wait to actually like do this properly. My husband's brand is Giaya Cashmere. He has a beautiful store in Pasadena.
I want to come check that out sometime.
You should. It's honestly, I stopped by yesterday and I like walked into the store and I like sat down and like the back door was open and there's a fountain and he has basil everywhere and the front door was open and he made a coffee from our machine and like, and
we're here for a minute this summer. Maybe I'll take a drive.
Playing, and I just was like, and we did all of that with our own money. We decorated everything ourselves. Everything was like the coffee bar was a tiki bar we found on Craigslist that we like put copper on top. Like, so it just like walking into that space and being like, we did every single thing.
I want to come see that.
It feels like you're walking into our house.
Let me tell you something about Michael Bostic.
Let's go to the Rose Bowl and then go over there.
He is a real secret shopper. Way more than me. He has, you know what he told me when we were dating?
Men are savages when it comes to shopping.
He goes, you need a tailor.
Well,
he's very particular. So I feel like you would love that store.
No, but I don't have the curation expertise or the creativity, but
he spots the style.
I have an eye, I think, to see like,
he does.
I'm sure, of course.
Like you could tell, I can tell when something's tasteful.
He's snobby and bratty.
When we were in Austin, I took a photo of his watch and I sent it to Davide, and Davide said, "That's big boy stuff." He was like, but he said that's big boy stuff, not in terms of financials or anything. When I got home, he was like, that watch is blah, 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 blah. It was designed, da, 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 da. So-and-so wore it here. Like, he was like, Michael has taste. He was like, he knows because a proper watch collector buys a watch that's going to appreciate in value.
Yeah.
And he was like, he bought the right watch.
You are stroking the ego. He is so happy.
I get what he's saying. It's like, but again, like, I think.
Did you see some guys who have watches and you're like, that's a dumb fucking purchase. Are you going to kiss
my feet?
I don't know. We were just on with
Who wakes up first? Do you sleep in a little bit after him?
I sleep in a little bit after.
So do I. Yeah. So then when he gets up, and my feet are always out of the sheets, and they're always like this, and so he thinks it's.
I'm not
cute.
digging under the sheets.
Why?
Because if it's out of the sheets, maybe I'm not digging in.
My feet happen. I can't have my feet under the covers. I get too hot.
Okay, well, I feel like he needs to write a romance book.
There I'll be like, you have 18 Barefoot Dreams blankets and all sorts. I'm not digging through all that.
Where can everyone? Should we do a giveaway for LPA?
Yeah. Oh my God, cool.
What can we give away? Like your favorites? If they follow
you know what I've been wanting to do, and we could do like I want to give away if there's any like brides. I want to give clothes to brides who can't like afford, who are like having to be like scrappy financial. It's a lot of money to buy all these looks for your weddings. I want to provide like a wardrobe for a bride.
That's nice.
I was thinking about that in the shower this morning. I was like, I need to give the brides.
Don't lie if you're not getting married, okay?
Yeah.
Well, then that's what I thought. I was in the shower with my daughter, and I was like, I want to do something nice. I think I want to help brides. I was like, we should do like a bridal giveaway. And then I was like, how do I fucking get these people to prove to me that they're getting married?
I'm going to take half the resources of the whole entire company and say, like, make sure this person's getting married. We'll figure it out.
You guys, go. If you are a bride, go introduce yourself on my latest post at Lauren Bostic and go follow Pia on Instagram. Tell us your Instagram one more time.
Pia Baroncini.
And follow LPA. What's the Instagram for LPA?
LPA, the label.
Easy. Pia, you are a rock star. Thank you for coming on. Come back anytime. Go listen to her podcast. It's on Dear Media.
I have so many questions I have for you guys. So
everything is the best.
We'll do the dinner with Raina, my husband.
At what's it called?
Funky.
I've never been.
Best pasta.
I trust you.
All right.
I trust you.
Thank you, Pia.
Thank you.
Thank you.